How to trigger her fear of losing you works every time. Modern Stoic. Absence sharpens love, presence strengthens it. Thomas Fuller. There's a silent power that only a few men ever master. It's the ability to walk away, not out of anger, but out of unshakable self-respect. Most women don't fear being single. What truly unsettles her, day by day, is the thought of losing a man who doesn't fear losing her. A man who lives by this code: I will not chase what does not recognize my value. She starts thinking about you the moment your energy pulls away. Not because you ghosted her, not because you played games, but because you vanished into your mission, into your purpose. Without drama, without explanations. You simply disappeared. And that's when her mind starts to race. At first it's subtle, a glance at her phone, a thought, a curiosity. Why hasn't he reached out? Then it becomes daily. Did I misread him? Has he moved on? And finally, it becomes internalized. What if I lost something I didn't realize was rare? You didn't send her paragraphs. You didn't demand answers. You just stayed still in your power, and that's what echoes in her mind long after you're gone. Stoicism teaches us this: the man who has mastered himself becomes irresistible. Not because he plays games, but because he doesn't need to. She's not afraid you're gone. She's afraid you meant it. She's afraid that the door you walked out of might not open again. And that fear, it awakens something primal. Not desperation, but reverence. She replays your last words. She wonders what you're thinking. She studies her own silence like a mirror, and each day you remain silent, grounded, and focused on your life. She feels it more, not in her mind, but in her soul. The gravity of a man who chooses instead of chasing, who can love fully but never beg, who disappears and leaves a storm in his absence. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly how to step into this version of yourself. Not through games, not through manipulation, but through the eternal tested code of Stoic strength, self-mastery, calm detachment, quiet dominance. Because when a woman realizes she could lose a man like that, the game changes forever. Let's begin. Number 1, live as if you're already whole. There is something profoundly attractive about a man who carries himself like he's already whole, not because he's faking confidence, but because he's truly built a foundation of peace and self-respect within. He doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't wait around for a woman to complete him. Instead, he's already walking his path, full of purpose, discipline, and quiet strength. This is the man who wakes up each morning with intention, not to impress anyone, not to collect validation, but because the mission inside him refuses to sleep. That fire, that inner clarity, is what makes him magnetic. And this is the heart of modern Stoic wisdom, becoming the man you admire, with or without applause. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." That truth doesn't just empower, it liberates. Because when a woman senses that your joy, your purpose, and your identity are rooted in something deeper than her presence, something awakens inside her. A quiet fear, the fear of losing you. Why? Because true emotional independence is rare. In a world full of men seeking women to fill the void, to distract from their unresolved pain, you become the man who does the opposite. You become the calm in the storm, the one who walks alone without flinching, the man whose strength lies in his alignment with his values, not in the attention he receives. This is not an act. It's not a game. It's a lifestyle. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When you stop trying to control outcomes, when you live free, grounded in your own purpose, you separate yourself from the masses. You become the man she doesn't own, and because of that, the man she fears losing. When you're constantly available, constantly texting back, constantly orbiting her world. She feels no urgency, no mystery, no sense that you could vanish with your peace intact. But when you live with focus, when your time is protected, when your soul is already full, whether she's there or not, then a subtle tension arises. That tension is not manipulation. It's truth. The truth that you are not waiting to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And the moment she realizes that your mission doesn't hinge on her presence is the moment she begins to value you at a deeper level. Not as a man who needs her, but as a man who wants her but would still rise without her. That difference? It's everything. Because a woman doesn't want to carry the weight of your emotional stability. She wants to stand beside a man who's already solid. If she walks and your world keeps turning, it shakes her. It reminds her that she was never your rescue. She was your companion, by invitation, not by necessity. That's power. That's unforgettable. And that is exactly what makes a man irreplaceable. You're not the kind of man who collapses when someone stops texting. You're the kind of man who invests in himself, who trains his body and sharpens his mind, not to impress, but because excellence is part of who you are. You pursue your purpose, not for applause, but because you answer to a higher standard, your own. You're the man who enjoys solitude, because in silence, you hear your mission clearer. And that kind of man doesn't fear rejection. He welcomes clarity. Whether she stays or walks, your foundation is unmoved. And in a world filled with men bending for approval, that kind of strength doesn't just stand out, it commands respect. So here's your mission. Stop waiting. Stop hoping she sees your worth. Start honoring it yourself. Wake up tomorrow and move like a man who's already arrived. Treat your goals like sacred ground. Fuel your health like it's non-negotiable. Speak like a man who knows his words matter, even in silence, and watch. Watch how women begin to lean in. Not because you chase them, but because you've become the kind of man no woman ever wants to lose. The kind of man who walks with so much inner peace. He becomes the storm and the stillness all at once. Real advice. Don't wait for pain to change you. Choose to evolve before life forces your hand. Reconnect with your mission. Take that solo walk. Read that book. Hit the gym. Make space to hear your own thoughts again. Build your kingdom now. And when you do, you won't need to trigger fear. Because that fear of losing you will arise naturally in her heart when she sees that you were never hers to own, only to share space with. Now tell me, what's one powerful habit you're starting this week to reclaim your wholeness? Drop it in the comments below. Let's grow together. Let's become the men this world quietly craves, but never forgets. Number 2, let her see you choose peace over drama. Single. Time. In a world where men are constantly pulled into emotional whirlwinds, where panic, reaction, and fear have become the norm, the man who stands still, unshaken, unmoved, unbothered, is the man who instantly separates himself from the crowd. Let her see you walk away from the fire she tries to spark, not out of weakness, but from supreme inner strength. You don't flinch. You don't explain yourself in paragraphs. You don't match her volume or mirror her chaos. Instead, you say with your presence, "This drama doesn't belong to me." That silence? That refusal to play her emotional game? That's where power lives. That's where mystery begins. That's where fear creeps in. Not your fear, hers. She begins to question. Is he slipping away? Why isn't he reacting? Has he already moved on? And suddenly you've reversed the psychology. She's no longer testing you, she's chasing you, because you've done what most men can't. You've shown emotional sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength is your weapon. That control is your edge. Most men take the bait. They argue, over-explain, seek validation through conflict. But validation that comes at the price of your peace is poverty disguised as love. When a woman senses your fear of losing her, her attraction fades, because women aren't drawn to desperation, they're magnetized by self-possession. In modern life, the man who responds to a storm with stillness is the rarest breed and the most irresistible. Picture this. She sends you a fiery, emotionally charged message. Instead of engaging, you reply with 6 calm words. Let's talk when we're both calm. Then you return to your purpose. That's high-value behavior. That's discipline. That's stoic masculinity. You're not reacting because you're not controlled. You're leading, not by dominance, but by detachment. And in that moment, you've triggered her deepest fear, losing a man she can't shake, can't sway, and can't replace. You are the storm's eye. You are her anchor and her wake-up call. Remember what Seneca said. He who is brave is free. So be free. Free from emotional traps. Free from the need to prove yourself. Free to walk away with your peace intact. That's not cold. That's calculated clarity. That's how modern Stoics win, not through argument, but through absence. You don't yell to be heard. You vanish to be valued. So ask yourself right now, are you the man who stays grounded when the earth shakes? Are you the one she cannot control and therefore cannot forget? If so, drop a comment below and type it loud, type it proud. My peace comes first. Let's flood this place with the voices of men who've mastered themselves. Like, comment, subscribe, because this is just the beginning. And the next move, it's even more powerful. Number 3, embrace the art of controlled absence. This is not just a tactic. This is ancient power. A Stoic principle disguised as silence. A weapon every high-value man must learn to wield. Sometimes the most devastating move is no move at all, not running, not chasing, just vanishing strategically. Disappear just enough for her to feel the cold draft of your absence. Not ghosting, not revenge. It's positioning. It's psychological gravity. You're not punishing her, you're restoring balance. Because a man who is always there becomes invisible. A man who steps back becomes unforgettable. Predictability is the silent killer of desire. When she knows you'll answer every time, show up on command, be her emotional doormat, her mind shuts off. Urgency dies. Appreciation fades. And that, brother, is how men get taken for granted. It's not because she's evil. It's because she's human. And humans are wired to value what feels scarce. The only way to remind her that you're not guaranteed, that you're not begging to be kept, is by walking away with calm conviction. That's the key. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with grounded, unshakable self-respect. He who is self-sufficient fears nothing, said Epictetus. And that fearlessness, that's what makes you magnetic. When you don't cling, don't beg, don't explain yourself, you emit a rare, almost mythical energy. A quiet force that says, I'm whole with or without you. That's rare. That's powerful. And that shakes her at her core. Most men don't get this. They think silence means detachment. They think pulling back is weak. But in reality, it's calculated dominance. Controlled absence is a mirror. It forces her to see what she really feels. Her imagination goes wild in that empty space. Is he done with me? Is he seeing someone else? Did I mess this up? That uncertainty, that creeping fear of loss, activates the primal part of her brain. It's not manipulation. It's how desire works. We don't chase what we already possess. We chase what we fear we're losing. That's human psychology. And if you're always too close, too available, too eager, she never gets to feel that fear. But step back, and suddenly you go from ordinary to irreplaceable. The beauty of this is that it's not an emotional reaction. It's not a tantrum. It's a conscious choice, a strategic withdrawal. You're not doing it because you're upset. You're doing it because you value yourself. If she wakes up and realizes your worth, great. If not, that's her loss. A Stoic man doesn't need to be chosen to feel worthy. His peace comes from within. His power is unshakable. If you want to trigger her fear of losing you, stop talking. Stop convincing. Stop begging. Let your absence speak. Give her silence, so her own thoughts turn into your strongest ally. Watch how fast she starts reaching, wanting, wondering, because the man who can walk away with steady hands and a still heart, that man owns the frame. That man commands respect, and respect is where real desire begins. So take a breath, step back, and let her feel what life is like without your presence. That's not weakness, that's dominance, that's stoicism in action. And if you agree with this, drop a comment right now. I am the man who holds the power. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remind yourself daily, silence isn't distance. It's discipline. Number 4, showcase unapologetic self-respect. You are the standard. You are the reference point by which others learn how to treat you. And the way you carry yourself, the energy you bring into a room, the tone you set with your presence, it tells her everything she needs to know. When a man moves through the world with unshakable self-respect, when he knows exactly who he is and what he brings to the table, he becomes a rare presence in a world full of men too scared to rock the boat. Too many men shrink themselves, walk on eggshells, and give up pieces of their dignity just to hold on to a woman. They're terrified of confrontation, terrified of drawing a line, terrified of saying, "This is what I deserve." But not you. You've made a quiet decision, not to chase, not to beg, not to mold yourself into whatever keeps her happy at the expense of your soul. And that right there is what flips the script. Because the moment a woman realizes you are the kind of man who is not afraid to walk away, you immediately become the one she fears losing. Not out of manipulation, not because you played her with mind games, but because your very existence says, "I won't stay where I'm not valued." That's power, real power. And women can feel it. It's in your tone, your eye contact, your calmness under pressure. They know when a man is bluffing, and they know when a man means it. Think of it like this. She's observing two types of men. One who overextends himself constantly, says yes to everything, loses himself in her life to the point where he has no edge, no mystery, no backbone. And the other, quiet, grounded, unshaken, who calmly asserts his standards and addresses crossed boundaries not with anger, but with conviction. She will always be drawn to the second man. Why? Because his self-respect forces her to respect him. And when a man makes it clear that he values himself deeply, so deeply that he would rather walk alone than compromise his worth, she suddenly starts to calculate what it would mean to lose him. It's not about ego. It's not about being cold. It's about internal alignment. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." When you embody Stoic principles, when you don't need external validation, when your peace is untouched by chaos, you become exactly the kind of man who stands out. Your stillness becomes your superpower, because she can sense the difference between a man who is afraid of losing her and a man who is at peace with either outcome. And it's the latter who lingers in her mind long after the conversation ends. That fear of losing you is not something you demand. It's something you earn by living a life that speaks for itself. No theatrics, no ultimatums, just standards, just a quiet, unwavering declaration that you will not tolerate less than you deserve. And when a woman feels that, truly feels it, She doesn't want to risk losing that kind of man. A Stoic man doesn't chase. He attracts by being. As Epictetus asked, "How long will you wait before you demand the best for yourself?" The answer should be, not another moment. Because the man who demands the best, not loudly, but through the way he lives, doesn't have to fear losing anyone. He is the prize. He is the rare one. And when she realizes you are that man, her instincts will whisper the truth she won't always admit out loud. I can't afford to lose him. So let me ask you, brother, what does self-respect look like to you in a relationship? Drop your wisdom in the comments, share your code, and if you're walking the path of unapologetic self-worth, leave this below. I won't settle for less. Let's hear from the real ones. Number 5, become a moving target. Become a moving target, not just in the literal sense, but as a living embodiment of motion, purpose, and quiet confidence. This is where many men lose their edge, not because they lack effort, but because they surrender to comfort. Once a connection feels secure, most men shift into autopilot. They confuse stability with stagnation, not realizing that predictability is the silent assassin of desire. The fire that once burned with urgency begins to flicker under the weight of routines and unchanging habits. But attraction is not born in comfort. It is forged in motion, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. A woman is instinctively drawn to a man who is always evolving. When she sees you consistently pushing your limits, elevating your health, expanding your knowledge, chasing higher purpose, and building a life with intention, something powerful happens in her mind. She starts to wonder, can I keep up with him? What if he outgrows me? And in that subtle moment of uncertainty, a spark is reignited because human nature is wired to desire what feels rare and never fully guaranteed. We don't crave what is always there. We crave what we're afraid might disappear. The Stoic philosopher Heraclitus once said, "You cannot step into the same river twice, because the river is always flowing, and so must you be." Instead of becoming the man who repeats the same day over and over again, become the man who wakes up hungry for growth, for wisdom, for challenge, not for approval, but because that's who he is. Read not to impress, but to sharpen your mind. Train not for vanity, but to strengthen your spirit through discipline. Work not just to earn, but to create impact. This kind of man doesn't need to declare his value. He radiates it. His actions whisper strength louder than words ever could. And when a woman witnesses this constant evolution, she senses that if she doesn't rise with you, someone else will. This isn't about fear-mongering or manipulation. It's about embodying your potential so deeply that your presence commands respect, not demands attention. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the heart of this wisdom. Become so aligned with your inner purpose that you don't need her to need you. You choose each other from a place of mutual growth. The man who stands still is easy to figure out and easier to forget. But the man who moves with purpose, who evolves without seeking permission, becomes unforgettable. In a world where trends, technology, and people move fast, staying stagnant is the quickest path to irrelevance. When she knows you're the kind of man who can walk away, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, it triggers something primal. You don't need to chase. You're already being pursued. So take this seriously. Keep moving, but don't move for her. Move for you. Build your life like you're the architect of greatness. Lead with purpose. And when you do, you won't just be the man she fears losing. You'll be the man she deeply admires. Because real attraction is not just chemistry. It's admiration. It's respect. It's witnessing a man fully engaged with life. That's what stays. That's what she can't walk away from. Number 6. Master the balance between desire and detachment. Here's the ultimate key. Desire her, but never need her. Care, but not so much that you lose yourself in the process. It's this tension, wanting her but not fearing her absence, that keeps her on edge. This is where you start triggering her fear of losing you. When a woman senses that you desire her, that you see her, appreciate her, even crave her presence. But at the same time, you carry yourself like a man who could walk away without hesitation if she disrespects you or takes you for granted. It creates a powerful shift in the dynamic. That subtle uncertainty makes her mind race. She starts to wonder, what would life be like if he suddenly disappeared? Could I really replace him? Women aren't drawn to men who cling or chase endlessly, because there's no sense of value there. But when you show her you care, while also making it clear through your actions that you're perfectly fine on your own, that's when her fear of losing you starts to wake up. The moment she realizes you could live without her, her desire to keep you grows. Think of it like this. A man who practices Stoicism knows that everything in life, even love, is fleeting. The Stoics teach us that we should appreciate what we have, but never depend on it for our happiness. You desire her, but you don't let that desire chain you. You can enjoy her presence, but your sense of peace, your sense of self remains untouched. That mindset is rare, and it's irresistible. Imagine you're planning a weekend together, but something comes up and she cancels last minute. Most men would sulk, complain, or try to reschedule immediately. Not you. You accept it calmly, almost indifferently, and fill your time with something meaningful, hitting the gym, spending time with friends, working on your goals. You show her, not with words, but with your energy, that your world doesn't revolve around her. That quiet strength plants a seed of doubt in her mind. What if he finds someone else who values him more? What if he simply decides not to come back? The key is to embody this without playing games. It's not about faking indifference or pretending you don't care. It's about genuinely understanding your own worth. When you carry yourself like a man who respects his time, his energy, and his peace, you naturally trigger her fear of losing you. Because she knows you're not the kind of man who begs for love. You are the kind of man who chooses love, but only when it adds to your life, never when it costs you your dignity. So remember, care for her, appreciate her, desire her, but never need her. Like a Stoic warrior, love with all your heart, but always be ready to walk away with all your strength. That's the energy that makes her fear losing you. Because deep down, she knows men like that don't come around often. At the end of the day, the fear of losing you doesn't come from manipulation, games, or chasing validation. It comes from becoming the kind of man who doesn't fear losing anyone. When you live with purpose, stand firm in your values, and carry yourself with quiet confidence, you naturally shift the dynamic. You go from being someone hoping to be chosen to someone who knows his worth, whether she sees it or not. That's the real lesson here. Your value doesn't come from how much you give or how hard you try to prove yourself. It comes from the way you respect yourself, protect your peace, and refuse to compromise your standards just to hold on to someone. The Stoics teach us everything external, relationships, attention, even love, is beyond our control. What we do control is how we show up, how we carry ourselves, and how much we value our own time and energy. And when you master that, you become the man she doesn't want to lose. Because men with that level of self-respect are rare. And that's it for today, my friend. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe so you never miss more powerful Stoic wisdom to master your relationships and your mindset. If you've got any thoughts, questions, or you want to share your experience, drop a comment below. I read every one of them, and I'd love to hear what you think or what you'd like to see next. Remember, real strength is calm, clear, and grounded. Stay sharp, stay centered, and keep leading like a high-value man. See you in the next one.